Hello again there, friends and neighbors. Mike Troe for the Saline County Libertarian Party back on the Weatherman show. Heard your comments, some good, some bad. Some people were just venting, but hey, that's all right if you're venting intellectually on a topic, because my goal is to get you to thinking. I didn't hear from a group of you, though, out there, and I want to take a second and reiterate. This show is for people all over the political spectrum. I'm remembering a lady I was having a great conversation with until she found out that I support John Price. Then that was it. She didn't want to talk to me anymore. Don't be like that. If you disagree with me, great. Do so respectfully, and we'll have a great time. Be disrespectful, and I won't listen. The point here is to get people communicating, whether we agree or not. We can still work together to build a better world. Speaking of doing things better, I'm trying to get all the papers and everything out of my hand and away from that and just speak to you. Well, maybe next month we'll get there, and I'll have it memorized. Before we jump to this month's topic, a personal disclosure about this show. The views you're about to hear do not necessarily represent the views of this producer or writer of this show, in other words, me, okay? It is the views that I believe that the supporters of Donald Trump hold, okay? So now, on we roll. This month's topic is Donald Trump. Like him, hate him, whichever. He has become a force in American politics with comments like, I could shoot someone on Madison Avenue and get away with it. People have strong opinions about him. I don't care for him. Never have, never will. But I see the force he has become. My wife and I went out to breakfast at Bayard's the other day. Yeah, I know, shameless plug, but hey, they got good food. And I overheard a man ask, did you hear what my man said last night? Another man asked, Trump? Yeah, said the first man. He really gave it to Clinton. We need to understand the why behind such a statement. My discussion here is going to fall into the 5 reasons scenario. We all know that ESPN series called 5 Reasons Why You Can't Blame. Well, this is called 5 Reasons You Can't Blame Republicans for Supporting Donald Trump. Now, these are my 5 reasons. You may have your own, but these are mine. Reason number 5, the Republican mentality. Now look, folks, this article is a little long. I cut some of it out, but it does such a great job at saying it. Really, I just have to let the article speak. You can see where to find it there, 2016.republican/candidate.org. And this does such a great job at showing the mentality of the Republicans. And I quote, over the past 2 decades, devotees of the Republican Party and the advancement of its principles have been well served by a strong stomach. Indeed, one could scarcely blame them for feeling as if they were riding on a roller coaster, with one important difference. At least if they were on a carnival ride, they could theoretically have asked that it be stopped so they could get off. As far back as 1994, the GOP enjoyed a political windfall. People were upset with Clinton's policies. The Republicans came out with what was called Contract with America, where they promised votes on bills that Clinton was blocking. When 1994 midterm elections results came in, they won both the House and the Senate. A Republican revolution, some optimistic fellows on the right even dared to declare that a permanent majority had begun with the U.S. Congress being read for the foreseeable future. They had to suffer under the Democrat Bill Clinton at the time, but had high hopes of changing that in 2 short years. Frustration, though, in the presidential election of 1996, that's the one where Bob Dole represented the Republicans, however, resulting in the election of President Clinton meant that the Republican would have to wait a total of 6 years after their landslide until 2001 to take the White House and dominate the American government. Unfortunately, this was when the roller coaster began to dip, as President George W. Bush would prove to be one of the least popular commanders-in-chief in the nation's history, provoking a backlash against Republican rule that began in 2006 midterms, ending the supposed permanent majority in the Senate, and culminated in 2008 with the election of the current president, Barack Obama. The revolution was over. Or was it? While unmistakably starting strong, President Obama's current approval ratings place him just slightly ahead his abysmally regarded predecessor. Between a sluggish economy, whose recovery is yet to be felt by many Americans, still seeking work, and popular weariness over Obama's much trumpeted health care plan, the Democratic Party paid for its president's poor image during the 2014 midterm elections. An 8-seat loss in the Senate cost them their hard-won control of that Chamber of Congress, while a net loss of 15 seats in the House of Representatives forced them to cede a stronger majority there to a Republican Party otherwise smarting from 2006 and 2008. The GOP is all about gearing up for the 2016 elections. Fortune may favor them in that pursuit. One of the greatest perceived weaknesses, the division in their party, suggested by the presence of at least 17 candidates at the time of this writing, of course, is now down to 6, with a serious shot at the nomination, is quickly diminishing as Hillary Clinton's status as a clear pick for the Democratic nomination fades, eroding that party's apparent unity. Moreover, it is increasingly obvious that the Republicans, who copious contenders or not, may have the privilege of hosting a shoe-in nomination winner in the person of Donald Trump. Despite ample controversy over his brash, stinging brand of commentary, Trump doesn't pull any punches, and he explicitly stated that neither he nor the country has time to behave in a politically correct fashion. Still, things are far from certain for the Republicans. In fact, the power of Trump could itself prove to be its biggest liability. He wants to round up and deport illegal aliens, build a wall, and make Mexico pay for it. For he has praised low wages for workers as a way of keeping America competitive. No confrontational remarks, or many confrontational remarks concerning the Middle East and the possibility of further U.S. military involvement in the region should he be elected. It's this kind of gloves-off tough talk that he has excited the conservative base of the Republican Party and really went after Trump. Worse, speculation says that the surprising amount of support he has around him can force his opponents inside the Republican Party further to the right, thus locking them into these hardcore conservative and keeping them out of more moderate places that in the general election, even if Trump doesn't get the nod. Taken together, these factors suggest a cloudy future for the GOP as the election approaches. While the unity of their Democratic opponents may be showing some cracks, the increasing dominance of the Republican frontrunner brings its own blessings and challenges. Still, with Congress under their control and the opponent's president at substantially reduced popularity from what he once enjoyed, the wind is at the party's back. Reason number 4, the Boston Red Sox. Now, look, the Boston Red Sox have a very long and storied history. It was an original American League franchise. They won the World Series in 1903. They won the AL title in 1904. Won the World Series again in 1912, 1915, 1916, and 1918. They had some of the great players and teams. Cy Young played for them. I didn't know that until I started doing the research for this. I didn't know he did that. Tris Speaker, Harry Hooper, and a young pitcher by the name of George Ruth. Now, the Babe won 89 games for him in 6 years, had a 2.15 ERA, and set many records that fell just a few short years ago. But of course, we all remember him for hitting all those home runs. Now look, folks, we all know the story here. We all know the story. Sox owner Harold Frazee was more concerned about Broadway plays than baseball, and he needed the money for those plays. So he sold Ruth and GM Ed Barrow, along with several other stars, to the Yankees, and the curse of the Bambino was born. That began a 2-decade history of mediocrity for the Beantowners. In 1933, Frazee sold the team to this man, Thomas Yawkey, and the Sox were primed for a comeback. Over the next several decades, some of the greatest players ever called Fenway home. Players like Jimmy Fox and Joe Cronin, Dom DiMaggio, and the splendid splinter Ted Williams dazzled up the baseball world. They gave way to players like George Scott, Enrico Petrocelli, Tony Conigliaro, Reggie Smith, and they then gave way to players like Fred Lynn, Jimmy Rice, who still plays the Green Monster better than anybody else I've ever seen, Dwight Evans and Carlton Fisk. They appeared in World Series in 1946, 1967, 1975, and 1986, losing them all. Plus, twice they lost in tiebreaker games, that's 48 and 78. And on top of that, in 1949, they lost the pennant on the last day of the season to the Yankees, Brock's Bombers forever. In 1972, they lost the pennant by half of a game because of the players' strike. And then 2003 came along. Look, they weren't a great team. The Yankees weren't a great team that year. Both teams could score. 18 to 12 games were common when they played. But neither one could pitch. The Sox were the wild card, beat Oakland, and then took on the Yanks in the ALCS. They forced a Game 7 where their ace, Pedro Martinez, was up 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning, only to have the Yankees rally to tie it and then win it on Aaron Boone's home run in the 12th. And that's when it happened. The look on J-Lo's face tells it all. Her hometown guys had once again beaten her boyfriend Ben Affleck's crew. But here you see the determination that would be the hallmark of the 2004 Sox. The motto became, what mountain must we climb? What ocean do we have to swim? We don't care, but enough is enough, and changes were made. Curt Schilling, a Yankee hater from way back and a member of the 2001 World Series champion Diamondbacks, came to town. Fan favorite Nomar Garciaparra was traded. The question, though, being, are we a better team with or without him? Well, without him was the decision, and so Nomar was put in the past. Playoffs came, the Sox were once again a wild card team, beating Anaheim, and then going down 0-3 to the Yankees. This time was different. Okay? You see a quote here from Johnny Damon that basically, and I'll paraphrase it here, they didn't really know what they was doing in 2003. They were just happy to be there. They were just a bunch of cowboys. Well, it was enough. Enough was enough. They weren't going to just be a bunch of cowboys anymore. So They got their new motto, and back they came with the motto of Cowboy Up. They won the ALCS. They beat the Cards in the World Series. The curse was dead. They've since won 2 more World Series. When Aaron Boone hit that home run and the Sox made their decision, it was a matter of time till they won. Reason number 3, white angst. Look, during the 2008 election cycle, many whites felt it was time for America to have a non-white president, and a whole lot of them voted for Barack Obama, only to see pictures from Philadelphia of white voters being made fun of and intimidated by being called a derogatory term for white people. The new president seemed to say that it was a good thing for that to happen, as whites could now feel what blacks have felt. Or, as Martin Longman in his Washington World article of November 8, 2015 said, for the whites there is a sense of betrayal, as they had supported many of the goals other races had, but now the blacks and Hispanics have a different set of expectations. And since whites have for a long time played the game on the lowest setting of difficulty, it is time for them to get used to it and to get over it. Now, I had no idea who Martin Longman is, but I'm sure he isn't either one of these 2 gentlemen. But he does clearly lay out the attitude that causes white angst. President Obama decried the Americans that ride around in pickups and with their gun racks and their Bibles. NASCAR Nation responded with a giant. There's a black caucus. A white caucus is racist, though. A young black man gets into it with a community watch person, and the press turns it into a race problem in America. While in Arizona, a black man runs over a Hispanic man, and we hear crickets from him. In a St. Louis, Missouri suburb, a police officer and a young man get into it. The city breaks out into riots. The police officer is forced to resign. That's all because the young man is black, and the officer was white. So the young man had to be innocent. Feeling their lifestyle attacked, feeling belittled, but not a group that is into rioting yet, they turn to Donald Trump. He says what sounds appropriate. He isn't their savior, but he is someone that speaks up. They want to live the dream of Dr. King. And oh, by the way, since I'm a smart aleck, there's a rebel flag with a libertarian twist. Reason number 2. Politicians speak with a forked tongue. In my lifetime, I've seen many examples of politicians telling us things that turn out to be different from the truth. We could spend all day studying them, but let's pass on that opportunity, folks. Don't have enough time. Besides, it is not as important that lies were told as what the reaction was to them. George W. Bush in 2003 told America that Gulf War II was about weapons of mass destruction. Bill Clinton said he didn't have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. Barack Obama said we could keep our insurance. George H.W. Bush stated no new taxes. Reagan said he didn't sell arms to Iran. Jimmy Carter said he wouldn't lie to America. Gerald Ford isn't discussed, but he is criticized for being a stumbling fool. And then there's Richard Nixon's, I am not a crook. CNN reporter John Blake, in his November 24, 2013 article, says Americans expect their presidents to lie to them about certain things. Presidential lies fall into 2 categories. Forgivable, which keeps the nation from harm, and unforgivable, covers a crime. The American people, he says, remain a forgiving people if the lie is putting the people first. Well, to the Trump supporters, this article forgives the wrong things and condemns the wrong things. When Bush the Younger said Gulf War II was about weapons of mass destruction and no WMDs were found, oh, the Dems and the press went wild. Bush lied, people died. Bill Clinton says he didn't have sexual relations with Lewinsky. We learned that oral sex isn't sex. And Linda Tripp, who is a Republican, was an evil whistleblower because she saw a crying Kathleen Willey coming out of a private meeting with Clinton, stuffing her clothes back into her skirt. Juanita Broderick claims she was raped by Clinton, and Clinton walks away free and clear. Linda Tripp's name is dragged through the dirt. Clinton also sold cemetery plots in Arlington National Cemetery to his supporters that didn't qualify. LBJ said several things in the '64 election to get elected that weren't true. Gerald Ford is shown as a bumbling fool. The All-American Center for the University of Michigan was probably the best athlete ever to be president. But Ford was a Republican. Jimmy Carter never lied, but he didn't accomplish anything either. FDR lied about wiretaps, and he is venerated. Nixon is known for lying about wiretaps, yet Barack Obama's administration collects more text messages, emails, and phone calls than Nixon ever thought about. And we're told that the information is not used for political purposes. Anybody remember how the IRS went after the conservative groups? Nixon appealed to the group of people that don't have time to riot or whine at meetings. The silent majority, those people that are too busy with their families to march or riot. The press runs right along with their Democrat masters. Someone is needed to speak for us. Trump's tete-a-tete with Fox News was exactly what they were looking for. Reason number one, third party inside of a party. McWilliams wrote in the Politico, you see the spot right there, by the way, where you can find it. One weird trait tells you if you are a Trump fan or not. It has nothing to do with party or gender or age or race or religion. The Trump supporters are supporting him. If he walks out of the Republican Party, they go with him. He is not tied to the stated Republican values. He is someone that speaks his mind and doesn't feel constrained because Ronald Reagan stood for this or that. That one thing is authoritarianism. This is tied to people's anxiousness and a general lack of trust. These are Republicans that are tired of being told they don't care about people because they believe in small government. They are tired of their government being vilified while the other party seems to be able to do whatever they want. These are Republicans that are tired of losing elections and having their chosen lifestyles attacked. They're tired of winning elections only to have people in their party forget what Republicans stood for. Bernie Sanders' support from people who share many of the same ideas. We'll talk about Bernie Sanders more next month. I myself, as a former Republican, found the party I love turn its back on honesty and the truth and stumble and bumble its way through the Lewinsky thing. Third parties have little chance of winning the presidency, but inside a major party, if they can win the nomination, that's different. Socialist Party of America is trying to get ballot access, and they want Sanders to lose so his supporters will go to them. Ron Paul is an example on the Republican side. The 1988 Libertarian Party candidate for president tried to ply his wares inside the Republican Party and made headlines, but not victories. And Trump seems to be able to win. It's the 2004 Boston Red Sox all over again. What must we do to win? He is also a conciliator, deal maker. This is a realization that America has many different facets, people, and lifestyles to it. We need someone that appeals to a large group of people. This person needs to be able to deal with the different leaders from around the world to get them to respect us again. Safeguard the American people here, if not by a wall, then by a force of people. In order for the U.S. to be safe, it must be respected, and Trump has the best chance of bringing people together and find the secret answer. After all, he is the king of deal makers. Epilogue. A recent Drudge Report poll has Sanders and Trump at the top. Now, what I like about this poll, a lot of other people don't, but what I like is they are listed regardless of party. So you see Trump at the top, then Sanders, and then you can see Cruz there, and then everybody else is in single digits. I think Hillary Clinton wound up like 4% in this poll. This is important because it shows the voters' preference. Alert, 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 warning, warning, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. I'd like to put out an alert to the leaders of the Republican Party. Whatever the outcome of this primary season, you better make sure that all candidates are treated fairly, especially Trump. I saw an article today when we are taping this about let the dirty tricks begin in South Carolina. Just remember one thing about Donald Trump. His supporters are not your supporters. They support Donald Trump. They will jettison your party. Okay? Interesting thing here that I found. Evangelist Perry Stone has a teaching on the 25 ways that modern politics is like Hitler. You ought to check it out sometime. Next month's topic will be Democratic Socialism, the savior of America. Say what? Look, if you're tired of the major parties telling you how to lead your life, and you want some good food, some good coffee, come join us out at Mocha South, first Saturday of the month. And we'll enjoy just being with each other. And folks, that's the way it is. Thursday, February the 11th, 2016. For the Saline County Libertarian Party, this is Mike Troe. May God bless.